Was yesterday's performance by Shohei Otani better than a perfect game?
I'll defer to Meller as a resident baseball freak.
I think it is. Now, maybe, I don't know if you would count it, but the
Let me add this into the equation, okay?
Yeah.
Just to be 100%, full information given. The final home run was hit off of
Vidal Brujan,
position player, as they brought someone in because at that point I think it was like 16-4.
Yeah, he hit his third home run.
Does that dilute what Shohei did at all?
It doesn't for me.
One of the 3 home runs was hit off of some guy who normally plays a different position.
It doesn't for me because at that point he was already 5 for 5, and I'm factoring in the fact that he creates the 50-50 club in this game. The crazy thing was, as this was unfolding yesterday, Tyler and I were discussing it because he stole the 2 bases early in the game and got to 51 stolen bases. And I was asking Tyler, I was like, oh, he's going to do this easy. And what did you say, Tyler? You said something like, oh, yeah, he's got a week left to do it.
A week left to do it.
And this was in the middle of the game, and he homers not once, not twice, but 3 times to push his total to 51, goes 6 for 6. I was having a conversation with a couple buddies last night. I don't know if this has ever been done in Little League baseball. 6 for 6, 3 homers, and 2 steals. In Little League, the guy who goes for 6 for 6 usually hits 6 home runs, so he doesn't have a chance to steal 2 bases. To do what he did was just insane, and to step up in the moment, he said in the post-game show afterwards that he just wanted to get it over with. And so I think that motivated him to have that monster game because he's not the guy who seeks out the limelight. The crazy thing is, I actually forgot until you reminded me this afternoon, Waddle. He was caught up in a betting scandal before the season even began. He has made me forget that.
I said to you, you remember when there was a thought that maybe he was done?
And I was like, no, I had actually forgotten. He has literally made me forget because of how great his season has been about a betting scandal that he was involved in because of his interpreter before the season began.
You can't call this the best season though of any position player's career, can you? Wouldn't that go to somebody who actually won the Triple Crown?
I don't know.
Especially
50 home runs, 50 stolen bases.
Especially the more we know about RBIs and how you're dependent on the guys around you in your lineup. He's hitting leadoff. He's got 120 ribbies.
Who's the last player? Was it Manny to win?
Miguel Cabrera.
Miguel Cabrera
won the Triple Crown.
Okay. So you guys are baseball guys. Do you think this was the greatest? Let's just start with the greatest single performance in a game.
I won't say a game because there's a lot of games that I'd have to sift through, but in my lifetime, absolutely.
Is it better, as you asked the question, than a perfect game?
I think so. This is the perfect game equivalent.
Even though he hit one of the 3 home runs against a position player.
In some perfect games, you're getting pitchers out.
That's true.
And it's been a while since we've had a perfect game. I don't think we've had a perfect game since the universal DH came into effect.
Meller, what do you think?
Yeah, I'm trying to think of
we
what
are all
else
guilty of living in the moment. Now we can
would be on par.
Think about how tough it is for him to steal 2 bases in this game. One of the stolen bases came on a steal of third.
Right.
He has 6 at bats, homers in 3 of them, singles in another, and doubles in 2, and somehow comes away with 2 stolen bases.
And by the way, one of the doubles he got thrown out at third.
Yeah, he
going for the cycle.
Yeah. He could have had a cycle. Well, he wasn't going for it at that moment because he hadn't homered yet.
Right.
But had he not been thrown out at third on one of his doubles,
how about that? Had he been safe at third, and not only
it took a perfect relay throw. It was the Marlins actually executed that well to get him out at third.
As crazy good as that performance was, had you also added in a triple,
cycle, oh my God. It would have been absurd.
Then it's a no contest.
Yeah, you know what? The crazy thing is, of all the perfect game talk that Tyler mentioned, Kerry Wood's 20 strikeout performance is one of those performances that, for me, stands out amongst the greatest of all time.
How does this compare?
I think yesterday may have been a greater performance for me.
All right. Tyler, what else you have?
All right, let's get to some other football stuff here. Waddle, you watched the Colts film.
I did.
I want to know, what was your impression that you took away from watching the all 22 of the Indianapolis Colts?
They're gettable on a number of fronts. I think that obviously you can run the football against them. The Packers ran it for 261 yards. Josh Jacobs ran for over 150 himself. The week before against the Houston Texans, they also gave up better than 150 yards to Joe Mixon. There are holes there. And you have the opportunity to move some of these guys. And now the mountain of a man who was their best defender, DeForest Buckner, is not there. So you should be able to move the football against them. Meller made mention of this earlier. Gus Bradley's their DC. He's been in the league for a couple of decades for sure. Calling defenses, very zone-heavy principles. Plays cover 3 a lot. Will he change things up and become more aggressive and come after them? I don't know. I do know that they are going to try and stop the Bears running game from getting on track and make them one-dimensional. But I just think that there's plays to be made there. I really do. I'm not saying they're a horrible team, but there's plays to be made. And the other thing I get from watching their offense is Anthony Richardson is a freakishly good athlete. He takes a lot of chances, throws without his base underneath him quite a bit. He's not accurate, and he will give the opponents a chance to take the ball away. So there's a lack of discipline there with how they do things. They are a threat to score at any moment, though, because of the athleticism. Pierce is a good receiver. Pittman, who's a little banged up, is a good receiver as well. I like their tight ends. Taylor's good, and this young kid can throw it a country mile. But I just think that there are too many mistakes on tape on both sides of the football for the Colts.
All right, and then real quick, I've got one passing question, one running question here. What would signal a step forward for Caleb Williams in your mind this week?
I don't think it's a statistical number. First of all, I don't want any catastrophic mistakes. That was the one thing he limited in week 1. The numbers were no good, but he didn't make the boom goes the dynamite mistake. He did that twice, 3 times actually, against the Colts, and one of those plays was eliminated because of a penalty. I think he found himself running for his life, banged up, had the crap kicked out of him, and then reverted back to some of the bad habits from college where he was trying to play hero ball. And he found out quickly that you can't do that in the National Football League. So what I would want to see from him is just is progress, and the numbers will follow. I think this is a 2-touchdown performance for him. He was robbed of a touchdown in week 1 because Keenan Allen dropped a pass. He was robbed of a touchdown on Sunday night because Roma Dunze dropped a touchdown pass. This is a Colts defense where if you told me he threw for 225 yards and 2 scores, I wouldn't bat an eye. So I think the stats will come along with the improved play. But I want to see him protected. I want to see the ball come out. And I want to see him, maybe more than anything, there have been big plays available to him. And he's missed on most all of them. He overthrew Keenan Allen in the first game of the season. He overthrew DeAndre Carter in that game as well. And if you look at the tape again, against the Texans, there was another throw he could have made to DeAndre Carter that he overthrew. And these are all big plays that can change the direction and the momentum of a game. And he hasn't been able to connect on any of those yet. So I want to see one of those. I want to see a clean game. Want to see the ball come out a little bit quicker than it has been. And I just want to see him, take a step forward.
All right, and then real quick on the running side of things here, the Packers ran the ball 53 times against the Colts last week. I don't think the Bears will get to that number because of having a more able quarterback here. But let's say conservatively the Bears run the ball about 35 times this week. How do you want to see those 35 carries? You can go percentage-wise, divvied up among the backs.
I think you paid DeAndre Swift to get the majority of the carries, and I'm fine with that. I would, as Tom Thayer told us today, instruct him that you have less choices. We want you to run where the play is being designed to run. Don't run as much with feel at this particular time until we get things going. I'd like to see Roschon Johnson get a handful of carries as well because I think he brings an element that they don't have or haven't shown so far, and that's a powerful runner. And I think Khalil Herbert has shown you over the course of time that he is an adequate runner of the football as well. So I would say Swift is going to get the majority of the carries. I would want, as long as Roschon is healthy, I'd like to see them run a little ground and pound with him. And then I would say, the guy who's going to get the least amount of carries is Khalil Herbert. But you got to give Swift. I think the number on DraftKings is Swift is over under 13.5, and I played over. You have to give him the football more than 13 and a half. More than
Carries,
13
right?
times. Yes. Yeah. So anything else? That's it?
That is all.
All right. That's all we have time for. When we